Good afternoon, everybody. I am Shelly B., a conservative Black sister surviving in a hot mess world. And today's hot mess is media all across America, all kinds of social media posts and all kinds of, innuendo that Carmelo Anthony's family misused the donation funds. Now, before we get into this, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I had to come on here when I saw this because I couldn't believe this. And honestly, I feel bad for everybody involved in this situation. I have my own opinion, about how I feel like this could have went differently, but I'll explain that more at the end. But for right now, I just had to get this out here because I don't think this is right at all either. Okay. So like I always tell you when I come on here, I listen to all kinds of media, lots of conservative media, lots of independent journalists. And one of my favorite shows, I was so upset when I saw this. I still have my aligners and glasses on. I just had to come on here real quick. No makeup, whatever. But Anthony Brian Logan, I really like his channel because he's a journalist, he's a writer. And I like the fact that independent journalists just report the damn truth. It's like it's no agenda involved. And I feel like a lot of time mainstream media, they always are agenda based. And what I like about independent media is that they're not really biased. They're just reporting the facts. You understand? Now everybody has their own opinion. Like he has his opinion, I have my opinion, but the facts are the facts. And I really just wanted to come on here real quick because I got to run somewhere, but I just had to come on here before I left because it was just like heavy on my heart with both of these families are going through. And I just don't feel like I said from the beginning, I feel like this is a case that everybody just jumped on it and we don't really know what's going on. And I feel like once it goes to court, then we'll know. Right now, everything is just opinion, innuendo, different, accounts that we don't even know if they're true yet. Nothing has been verified. Nobody's taken any oaths of testimony and stuff like that. And I really wish we would wait. Like I have a huge opinion about the money they collected and stuff like that. And how I feel as Black folks, if we can collect for this, we can collect for a lot of things that I feel would be more important and useful to us. But I'll talk about that part later. But for now, this is Anthony Brian Logan. I really like his show. You guys, I put a link to in the description. And a lot of people have this stereotypical notion about conservative people, and it's just not true. I love him because he just says the truth. He reports the facts. He looks like me, and I trust him more than I trust anybody on a mainstream media site. And I respected him for coming on here and defending this family, because if they're reporting this and it's not true, then we have to say the truth is the truth. You understand? So let me just show you what Anthony Brian Logan put together, and he did the research for this. And like I said, I really like his show. The link is in the description. Y'all should watch it because I feel like, he gives a lot of good information here. So let's just listen what he has to say here and the facts that he uncovered around this. Now, this is Carmelo's mother. I feel bad for all of these people involved. I definitely feel bad for the boy that lost his life. I feel bad for both sets of parents because, what they are going through, I can't even imagine, my child being dead. I can't imagine my child being accused of murder. I just feel like all of these families are going through it, and we really should just leave everybody alone. You know what I'm saying? And the father of the deceased boy did something that you'll hear that, was really out of pocket. But, as a mother or somebody killed my child, I don't know how I would act. You understand what I'm saying? So I just feel like all of these parents involved in this, they just need to be left alone. Just, I don't know how this is going to go. I know this is going to turn into a big race war and everything like that. But before that happens, can we at least hear all the evidence? But hear what Anthony Brian Logan had to say. I really like the way he put this together.
Or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give Send Go fundraiser.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you an update on the Carmelo Anthony case. And in case you don't know, in case you don't remember, you need a recap, let me just give you a little bit of background before we go forward. Now, in Frisco, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, two high school kids, both age 17, get into a fight over a spot under a tent during a high school track meet. One of the boys has a knife. He stabs the other one time during the fight. The other boy dies. May Austin Metcalf, rest in peace. Prayers out to his family. Prayers out to the Anthony family as well, because they're both going through a whole lot.
This is my point. I feel like everybody is so racially divided of this, and it would be really nice if we could just go to court and we can get all the facts first before we jump out of the window on either side of this. A boy is dead, period. You understand? I feel like that could have been handled in so many different ways, and I will say that at the end, my opinion about it, but at the end of the day, a boy is dead, and they're both. This boy is going to lose his life as well. You know what I'm saying? Because of how he's being predicted. How he's being presented in the media and stuff like that. And we don't know the facts. You understand? And everybody just jumped on the racial lines, wherever they stand at. You understand what I mean? And the reality is, these parents are distraught on both sides. Karmelo's parents, they look very young to me. I can tell they are very worried and very hurt. I know they probably don't trust the justice system, and they are getting a lot of threats and stuff like that. And I just don't see, when a crime like this happens, is it the parents' fault? Are they responsible in some way or anything like that? Like, I just feel like how they are treating his family is kind of over the top. But this is America after all, and how is this going to go? Like, I don't know, but I just wish that everybody would just wait and chill for a second.
Now, there is a lot of information out there, and this information is misinformation. It's straight up lies or unfounded rumors, things people think to be true, but there's no evidence to say whether it's true or false. Now, in this video, I'm here to debunk some of that and to give some more insight on the facts as we know them so far. I'm not here to talk about what happened under the tent. You might think my take and my previous video was on point, off point, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Let's get to what we know right now as far as facts. Now, there's a few things I got to clear up right away. There's rumors about, they took the Give, Send, Go fundraise money, $440,000, and they bought a new house. They bought an Escalade. They bought 3 cars. None of that is based in reality. There's no evidence to support it.
Just in case anybody doesn't know, they raised like $400,000 for Karmelo's defense. The family of the deceased boy raised under the $4,000. So a lot of people are upset that, the boy that quote unquote killed him, murdered him, or whatever, raised more money. And so, people are in their feelings and whatnot about it.
Any of that. Now, people are citing articles like this from The Sun. You see the headline: family of quote unquote killer Karmelo Anthony to buy new house and security with donated $430,000 as he freed an Austin Metcalf murder. Now, to buy, does that mean that a house was purchased? No, it doesn't. Does that mean security was purchased? No, it doesn't.
They very well could have got a new house, or I don't know if they did or not. He says they did not. But even if they did go out and purchase all of these things, it doesn't mean that it came from that money and you're going to see that. And, even if they did go out and buy all of these things, they're entitled to it. You understand? Maybe people gifted it to them. It could be a lot of reasons if they have these new things. But just listen to what he uncovers.
It doesn't mean any of that. So when people say he bought a house and cars and whatnot, where's your evidence? You see what it says right here. Karmelo Anthony, living with family in $100,000 home in gated community, bought new car after release on bond in Austin Metcalf murder case report. Now, there's a lot here. First of all, it does not say that he purchased a home or his family purchased a home. It just says he's living in a home that is worth that much. So,
and I believe that is a leased home. I don't even think it's bought. I think they lease it or rent it or something like that.
Does that mean that the home was purchased? Does that mean that it's being leased, that it was leased recently? From my research that I did and from my sources I won't mention, he's been living in that house with his family his mom, dad, and 3 other siblings since at least 2023, but probably.
Now, this just reminds me of during Jim Crow when Black people had lifestyles that were fabulous and white people used to be hating on them and then burn their houses down and do stuff because they were jealous of the lifestyle that they were affording. So apparently his family always lived like this or whatever. So, you know, is the media hating? It appears so.
2022, and they've been in this particular area of Texas since 2021. There is no evidence to say that any of the monies from the Give Send Go were used to purchase anything, let alone a new house and cars and whatnot. They're talking about a new car was purchased. What's the report? Like, what's the actual source for the new car being purchased? Okay, let's go through the article a little bit. You see what it says. The home where rent is about $3,500 a month on estimate, had a white Suburban, a black Acura, and a third sedan in the driveway on Tuesday, according to the outlet. Now, a neighbor said the family had just bought a new ride. Quote, he got a new car, the resident told the outlet. If you look at the license plate.
Now, see, they watching them and all in their business. And I'm telling you, it just reminds me of Jim Crow, how they be clocking you and how they looking at what you got is more than what they got. So now they hating on you. Like, they don't think that Black people, you know, should deserve to live in a certain way or that they can't honestly afford certain things like that. Like, you know, it's very petty.
It's got a paper tag and it expires June 4th. Now, how does the neighbor know who the car belongs to? That car could belong to anybody. After an event like this, where they're getting a lot of scrutiny, people then doxed them, people outside their houses trying to take pictures, people sending them things, because that's something else they said. Let's go down a little bit here. Okay, they're talking about they're getting a bunch of Amazon orders, things of this nature. Let's go down. Look, the home has also been getting flooded with deliveries, allegedly for Anthony, with Amazon trucks being seen making multiple drops at the home. So if the address was...
Somebody in my comments, USTU678, they are trying to destroy the Anthony family. I mean, you know, it appears so. You understand? And like I said, we don't know any of the facts of this case. It has to go to trial. That's why you're innocent until proven guilty. He's saying that, you know, it was self-defense. I think that all that whole situation could have been avoided. And I'll tell you why I feel that way at the end. But I just feel like let this shit go to trial and everybody leave these people alone, both families. You know what I mean? I don't care. They lost their child. That's fucked up. You know, whether you think that, you know, it wasn't self-defense or was, whatever the case may be, his family deserves a chance to grieve and do what they got to do to protect their child. You understand what I'm saying? These are kids. You know, Karmelo Anthony, he did kill somebody, period. He did kill somebody. You know what I'm saying? Now we just got to figure out, was he justified in doing so? And I feel like I have a son. I damn sure wouldn't tell my son to go this route. You understand? But for whatever reason, this boy felt that that's the only option that he had or whatever. And maybe, you know, it's a lesson to be learned out of this for all kids. You understand? But can we just wait until we see the evidence? Because we don't know what happened. All we know is what leftist media is reporting, what right stream media is reporting, and we don't know anything because the people that are actually there are not allowed to even talk about the case. They're not supposed to talk about the case. Their lawyers are going to tell them not to say shit. You understand? So just hold on.
Doxed, and the internet knows that address. How do you know who's sending things to the home? It could be outside people, haters, people that are threatening toward the family, people that are supporting.
Somebody in the comments is saying, I can't, what does it say? Aztecian prick. He says, one thing we know, whites can't be trusted. They made this a race issue. Okay. Certain white people can't be trusted. We can't always think that all white people are bad. You understand what I'm saying? Were these boys wrong? I don't know. Let it go to trial. Okay. Somebody writes in the comments, I agree. Take it to trial. Then let all the evidence fall into place. Thank you. Please. Can we do this? You understand what I'm saying? Because, and then it give the families a chance to, you know, process what is going on. Leave both families alone. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know how I would act if my child was murdered. He was murdered. It is what it is. He killed them. Now the thing is, we're trying to figure out, was it self-defense or not? You understand? Dominique Simon says, this honestly happens all the time amongst teenagers. It's just being politicized. Exactly. I feel like it is being politicized. I honestly feel that this situation was nothing that, you know, a fist fight couldn't have dealt with, or, you know, alerting a teacher that they were keeping you out of the area, whatever the case. But we'll get into that at the end, because I want you guys to hear what Anthony Brian Logan, you know, what he came up with and what he found. But my whole point of showing you stuff like this, you know, he gets a lot of smoke because he's a Black conservative, okay? But he's a journalist. He just reports the truth. He reports the facts that he finds. He verifies his shit, and you know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that we see this. You understand what I'm saying? He's saying Matt Walsh and Megyn Kelly, they believe that, you know, he did kill him. That's the bottom line. He did murder somebody. The thing we're trying to figure out now, was it in self-defense or not? Did he escalate the situation? Blah, blah, blah. We don't have no idea until it goes to court. So any media that's reporting really anything about what happened, it's all speculation. Because like I said, the people that are involved in this case, their lawyers are going to tell them to shut the fuck up and don't say anything to anybody, the press, nobody. We're not going to know anything until it gets to court and they hash it out there. Okay? So as far as I'm concerned, and I don't care, like Aztecian Prick is saying Matt Walsh and Megyn Kelly. Listen, I watch all of the medias, and sometimes they're on point and sometimes they're not. I agree with them sometimes and sometimes I don't. You can't sit up there and paint everybody with a broad brush that all white people are going to be racist or all white people are going to stand one way in the issue. And I always bring up about slavery and the Underground Railroad. First of all, and I always say this, and Black people always want to act like, you know, they want to fight over it and stuff. But the bottom line is the Republican Party was created to abolish slavery. Black people got the right to vote as Republicans, women, Asians, Latino, everybody got the right to vote as Republicans, because Democrats were the most racist and they didn't want to do nothing for nobody. They were very, very bigoted, okay? That right there, I'm just letting you know that the Underground Railroad would not have worked if it wasn't for the white people that fought to help free these people, that hid them on the Underground Railroad and stuff. It wasn't other Black people that hid them on the Underground Railroad. It was white people that was hiding them on the Underground Railroad. You understand? So we cannot be in this race war all the time. You have to judge everybody individually. All white people are not bad. All Black people are not thugs and bad or whatever. You have to judge everybody individually. This boy, he wasn't a thugged out kid. I think he was a straight A student. However, did he make a bad choice? Did he escalate the situation? We don't know. Was it self-defense? Who knows? None of us were there. We're only running with narratives that we're hearing from, you know, both sides. And like this young lady says, it is politicized. Okay. So we have to wait. Okay. We have to wait.
For the family, how do you know that these orders are from Karmelo or his family? How do you know that? You don't know what's going on. People are just making assumptions. The word of a neighbor is not really enough.
Listen. Somebody's in the comments, Dominique is in the comments saying that the jury can be swayed. Yes, the jury can be swayed. But if you have decent lawyers or the truth is on your side, you will win. Because I just think of O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson got off and the whole world thought he was terrible. Michael Jackson got off and the whole world thought he did what he did. You see what I'm saying? So let it play out in court. You understand? You guys are making up scenarios that have not happened yet, putting that out into the universe that he's not going to get a fair trial and all that. Just wait and see. You understand? If he gets some liberal judge, he probably might get off scot-free. You understand? So you have to wait and see. I don't want to see this young man, in spite of everything, I don't want to see him go to prison forever. You understand? Because I just feel like, I honestly do feel like he made a mistake. You know, nobody, unless you're the real devil, kills somebody, you know, in cold blood. You understand what I'm saying? So for whatever reason, he felt he needed to do that. But like I keep saying, I just feel that could have went different. You understand? It just could have went different. And I wouldn't tell my son to do what he did. I just wouldn't. And I'll tell you at the end what I think. But let's just keep moving forward.
Furthermore, if they just moved there, then how would the neighbor know that a new car is in the driveway that's not normally there? It doesn't make any sense. And again, they don't know who the car belongs to. That could be friend, family, relative, anybody. Because of all the scrutiny, because of the threat of violence, that could be somebody just come in to help. You don't know what's going on. People are just saying things that they think to be true without any evidence. Now,
okay, so Dominique in the comments is saying the demographics were changed, talking about OJ. She goes, remember they switched counties the OJ case because of race. Okay, they switched counties and they got the jury they wanted and he got off. So you understand? Let it play out, okay? Another person in the comments is like, there was a combination of people that helped during the Underground Railroad, not all black, not all white. Exactly. But it was mostly white people and Quakers that helped on the Underground Railroad, and they were killed and hanged and dragged just like the black ones when they got caught. Harriet Tubman said this, that she trusted the Quakers more than some of the black people because they would be scared and she would have to kill them on the Underground Railroad so they won't give up, you know, what they were doing. You understand? So we can't, the whole point I'm trying to make is, if you look at America as a whole, I don't feel that most of the people are racist and most black people hate white people. I just don't think that. But that's the narrative that the media is always going to push. That they're going to politicize everything. You understand? And they want everybody to be divided and fight and burn down their communities and all of that. You know, that's when they win. You understand? We have to judge everybody individually. You understand what I'm saying? Because I don't believe all white people are against him. You understand? I don't believe that all black people are for him. And I don't feel that we should be divided in our communities over this. You understand? I'm sorry. I just don't.
Now, this is on TMZ. Look what it says. Carmelo Anthony not using moolah, the money, the cash from the fundraiser, even after posting the bill for $250,000, which you pay 10%, that's $25,000 in cash. Now, let's go down a little bit. Jacob Wells, the co-founder of GiveSendGo, tells TMZ no funds have been distributed as the company receives clarity from the campaign recipient on use of funds so that the people that have given can be confident in how their donation is being used. So there's oversight, there's transparency. This is not some kind of scam that's going on, okay? And again, no money from this has been used. Some are going to say, well, it could be a loan based on the money because people know it's going to be there. They know they're going to get paid back. But where's the evidence that anything was purchased? There is no evidence. There's a picture of the mom next to an Escalade in front of a house. It might be the house I live in right now, but there's no indication of when the picture was taken. That could be an old picture from when they first moved into the house. Thank you, husband.
Nikisha Morrow says Kaysen Allison trial is going on right now for stabbing a Hispanic student at school. He was released on $175,000 bond. Now, I do think that his bail was a lot, and then they got it lower considerably. And somebody made the donation. I think the bail bondsman paid his $25,000. You understand? So you know, I'm sorry, honey. What's your name? Jerome Autry. Name anything any community is not divided about. It's unrealistic. It may be unrealistic, but it shouldn't be. I feel like as a community, we are divided over so many things, and there's so many fractions in our community, and it doesn't need to be that way because we are in small numbers as it is here, and we fall for the okie doke every single time. Every single time. You understand? Why can't we just wait? We can't just say, oh, he's black, let's get behind him or whatever. Oh, he's white, let's get behind. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, can we at least hear what the hell really happened first before we jump out the window? I'm sorry. That's just going to be my stance on every damn thing. You know what I'm saying? Leave these people alone. Leave both sets of parents alone and let them go through whatever they're going through and leave them alone.
And for providing this house for me and our children. It could be that, but people are just saying, hey, you know what? The only way this family, this black family, could afford to live right here in this very expensive home and have these nice things is because they scammed the money from the GoFundMes.
And see, that's that Jim Crow mentality. Do all white people feel like that? No, but clearly a majority of people feel like that because they're running with this story. You understand what I'm saying? They're running with this story. So, I just had to come on here and put this out that he, his family did not, get the money like that. And I just wish, we raised $400,000 for this. I wish that we could raise money for things. I'm not saying this is not important, but I just feel like we could, if we're going to band together against something, I wish we could band together for something that will create generational wealth, something that will give our kids a better education and things like that. I just always feel like we're just so misguided about what we give all of our attention to and the things we fight for. I just do. I don't have no problem with anybody wanting to raise funds for this, but can we raise funds for other things? I never see us raise money unless it's some political thing like Black Lives Matter or something like this, whatever. But if you ask the people in the community, yo, let's get together and make a better school for our kids in this neighborhood, nobody wants to listen to that. So this is where I get irritated with it at.
That's not, that's just not based in reality. Now, this is going to be on Fort Worth Star Telegram. Okay. Now, right here, it says the parents in court told Judge Angela Tucker that Karmelo is the oldest of their 4 children and that the family moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area 4 years ago. Okay. So again, they're not just living out there for the very first time. They've been there for a while. Now, there was a press conference.
Listen, Jerome is in the comments. He's like, what happens to him happens to all of happens. He said, what happens to him happens to all. It becomes case law. Close your eyes. Don't make it go away. Okay, but can we hear what happened first? We don't have no idea. We don't know. And everything that's going to happen to him is not going to happen to all of us, because I would never tell my son that his first option in a fight is to stab somebody. I wouldn't say that. You understand? Now, I didn't even want to talk about this until the end, but I would not tell my son to do the way he did that. You understand? I personally teach my son, before you bust somebody's ass, you make a scene. You make it known that this person is bothering you. You understand? You let the teachers know. You let me know. You make it known. You understand? I always tell my son, if you feel threatened and somebody's going to hurt you, you say it loud enough where there's enough witnesses to hear you. Don't put your hands on me. You understand? To me, he could have easily, if he felt that he was justified to be in that tent, he could have literally just went to one of the teachers or one of the coaches and say, yo, they're tripping over here. They won't let me in this tent. You understand? That, to me, could have squashed it all. When they told him to get out, he could have been like, well, I'm entitled to be here. Let me go get somebody. You know what I'm saying? I just feel that discernment, and I teach my son discernment. You understand? Because everything, like I said, we're emotional people. You understand what I'm saying? This is why I had my son in martial arts from the time he was 3. You know what I mean? I made sure he knew how to fight, boxing, Muay Thai, all that stuff. My son is good at blocking. He's hard to hit. I remember one time in, I guess, like 3rd grade, because he had bullies at first. I said, oh, no, we're going to nip this in the bud. So I started putting him in martial arts. So then one time he had this kid, black kid, and bullying him at school or whatever. And one day on the playground, he was, trying to hit Shiloh, and Shiloh was like wax on, wax off. He wasn't able to hit him. So all the kids started laughing. So the boy kept trying to hit Shiloh, and Shiloh kept blocking him, and everybody started laughing. So then he told my son, well, I'll just shoot you. Now you escalating it way, way out of proportion. You understand? But the reason why it didn't end bad for my son or this boy, because my son made a scene and made it known that this boy was bothering him, and a teacher heard it and saw it, and that boy was expelled from the school immediately, never seen him again. You understand? That's what I would teach my son. You understand? But that's just me. You understand what I'm saying? I just feel like if somebody's bullying you and you feel harassed, you have to make it known to the teachers. You have to make it known to the school. You have to make it known to everybody within earshot that's there. You understand? Then now if you bust their ass and all that, now you justify because everybody done heard it. Oh yeah, they was bullying. Oh yeah, we saw. You see what I'm saying? Now we don't know if that happened because we don't know any of the evidence. Okay. And listen, somebody's talking about this case in Texas. Case Caseen, I didn't hear about this. Okay. And it's 2 hours from where Karmelo's trial is. I have to look into this because I haven't heard nothing about it. So I wonder why it's not, readily explained. They had a active shooter yesterday in Texas. Who did that? You know what I'm saying? So Dominique says because of the court of public opinion matters when dealing with Black people. The court of public opinion matters when dealing with all people. It's not just us. And we have to remember Black people act like we're the only people in this country. This country is made up by people from hundreds of countries. It's not just us. It matters for anybody that goes to court for something. How the public views it is important because that's the jury. That is why I just wish everybody would just shut up and let these people alone and, not even listen to the media so that they can get a fair trial. I wish that the media wouldn't even be allowed to report things like this until they go to trial. Now, somebody's in here saying Black privilege is out of control. A lot of white people believe that, the tables have turned and Black people, get away with a lot today. You understand what I'm saying? So, it just depends on where you stand. You understand? A lot of white people feel like DEI cuts them out. You understand? And I don't think that's fair either. You understand? I am a person of balance. I feel like everything should be balanced and everybody can be happy and we can move forward in peace. As long as the scales are unbalanced, you're going to always have these fights. Somebody said in the comment, Austin could have done the same thing, went to an authority figure, so we are divided on that. Right. However, that boy was in his team's tent. You understand? And he told that other boy to get out, okay? So when he told, if I'm somewhere and I come in somewhere and somebody tell me to get out, I'm going to go and get the authorities or whoever I need to verify and let them know I'm supposed to be here. I'm allowed to be here, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to just, I'm old school. I come from a time where we used to fist fight. You understand? We used to fight. You know what I mean? These kids today, I guess they don't know how to fight. Because I honestly feel that situation wasn't nothing that hands could not have handled. You understand? I don't know. Did the other boy have a knife? That's what I'm saying. These are all the things that we don't know yet. Now, if the other kids had weapons, then he was justified. You understand? And somebody saying, why are they sweeping K-Sin under the rug? I don't know anything about the case, love. Can you, elaborate in the comments?
All right.
But I will.
The mother spoke and the representing the family or helping the family spoke as well. I'll link to the full press conference and everything in the box. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it. And again, this is the mother speaking. This is Karmelo's mom.
Look how young this mother is.
And let me be clear. The claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything.
Listen, I'm a mother of a son and I know what she's feeling. She is broken. She is afraid to death for her son, that the media is out here spinning this, that her son, her whole entire family is horrible and all this stuff. She's worried about her son's life and what's going to happen to him. Are they going to throw the book at him and give him some long sentence? Will justice prevail for him with what? I know what them tears are for. You understand? I would be worried about my son too if he did something like that. You understand? But I teach my son to have discernment. I don't feel like any fight with anybody is worth that unless they are trying to kill you. I told my son, if a girl comes at you with a weapon, knock her the fuck out. You understand what I'm saying? If your life is in danger, yes, okay? Somebody in the comments saying she is currently living in an $800 house via donations. No, she is not. Crack shot. Are you on crack? Watch the video, okay? They did not even get the money yet. The funding place even said they have not given them no money out of that yet. Okay, don't come on here in the middle and not know what you're talking about because you're looking stupid. He can control all he wants to, but he's gonna look dumb because we all know that that none of that is true. You understand what I'm saying? Just listen.
Else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give Send Go fundraiser.
Listen to this.
And the co-founder has
listen to how dumb. Okay, we're literally watching the video, and the funding company literally made a statement saying that she did not get the money yet. Now this clown is going to come on here and say, yes, she is Amazon shopping spree. What Amazon shopping spree? They don't even want the packages because they don't know if it's somebody put a bomb in that shit or whatever. This is what I'm saying about people being misinformed and just saying anything off of what they hear, and they don't even know the facts. That's why if everybody would just shut up, listen, he's still saying it's a fact. These are the kind of ignoramuses that I deal with on the regular. I guarantee you that this man, I'm telling whoever this is a fool. I'm telling you. And they're not going to believe nothing that you tell them because they're just stuck, you know? So we're going to ignore him for now. Let's move on.
Stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds once a request is made.
So yesterday would have been Wednesday, April 16th, 2000.
This dumb fool still in the comments. He's saying I'm lying. I'm not lying. The funding company that the what is it? GoFundMe, not GoFundMe, Go, whatever it's called. They literally made a statement, crack shot that must be smoking crack, that they did not release any money to them yet. What are you talking about? So then that company that's collecting the money online that said they didn't release any money to them is lying. Man, go ahead, man. Please come out of here, please. Somebody else says in the comments, USTFU 6678. It has become normalized to have a weapon. They're responding to somebody else because it does not fit the agenda. The roles are reversed. They don't want people to know. Listen, I don't know why this young man felt that he had to walk with a knife on him, and why in that situation. I mean, if he had time to go to the bag and get the knife, I feel that he could have had a chance to, get help. You know what I'm saying? To get, alert, the coaches or whoever that there was an issue going on. But I could be wrong because I don't fucking know, because I was not there. And none of the people that were there are able to give statements because their lawyers are going to tell them, don't talk to the press, don't talk to nobody. And I'm telling y'all, it's just stupid at this point.
2025. So if they started the process yesterday, they might not be able to access any cash until Friday at the earliest, probably Monday. Now, this is Dominique Alexander. He's helping the family out with what's going on. He's talking about Austin Metcalf's father showing up to the press conference uninvited. Let's watch.
And all I'm going to say, so it don't be asked later, is that was disrespectful and just shows you
Go Send Go is the name of the company that's collecting
the character.
Funds. Thank you, non-swirl zone.
He was not invited.
Good for you.
He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family, but he did it.
So
now, not for nothing, when you lose a child, I never want to know the feeling, but I can't imagine the emotions that you go through when you lose a child in this way. I'm sure as much as their parents come out in the media acting like, can we all just get along and this and that, I can't imagine that they are not angry about this. You understand? And I feel like when you have a child that gets murdered or whatever, I just feel like they're going to have an array of crazy feelings and behaviors and stuff like that. So again, I don't know what happened with that and why he felt compelled to come there. I don't know what that was about. I agree he shouldn't have done that, but a grieving parent ain't no telling what they would do. Dominique Simmons says you have the duty to stand your ground. This means you do not have to retreat. Yes, you do. That's what I'm saying. We get behind something and we don't understand the law. Okay. You do not have the right to kill somebody in a fist fight. You understand what I'm saying? If he was unarmed, now if you got if both of the boys was beating up on him, then maybe you might have a point. You understand? Maybe you might have a point. He was pinned down, somebody was choking him, the other one was beat. I can understand that. But in a fist fight with your hands, use your hands. You understand? That's why I made sure my son could learn how to fight. My son has had a few fights. Some he won, some he lost. Even one time he said the one person, he took a couple hits with him and realized that he wasn't going to win that fight and he ran. You have to have discernment. My son didn't say, oh, I can't beat this person. Let me take a knife and stab him. You understand? You just putting your family through a whole bunch of bullshit. You understand? Like I said, I don't know the particulars of this case. I'm going to say this 100,000 times that none of us know what happened. When it goes to court, we will find out what happened. They will have all the witnesses testify. Then we could worry. For now, I just want to send positive vibes to all these families and hope the best and justice, whatever it is, whatever is the righteous thing. He's saying Texas law is different. Listen, the lawyers have spoke about it. Judge Joe Brown had a very great video about this case, and he explained the case law in Texas where he's practiced for eons, and he tells you what the laws are. So I suggest you go look at that video. I haven't posted that yet, but y'all need to look at this because you cannot. And then it's also the point of, did it get escalated? You understand? Who escalated what? Was he armed? Whatever. You can't just say, oh, somebody hit me and I'm going to kill him. You can't do that. So don't believe that. Don't tell your kids that, okay? Because they're going to end up in this very situation and it could be a good chance that they go to prison for a long freaking time. Don't tell your kids that, okay? Listen, we don't know anything, swirl zone, non-swirl zone. We don't really know the details at all, And I hate racist people says, you're just another pathetic, low life, good for nothing, racist little girl. Actually, I'm a grown ass woman. First of all, I am not racist. Look at me. Look at my son. Okay. Come on, man. Okay. In my family, we have like a melting pot of all races of people. I am not racist. I'm sitting here clearly saying that can we wait and see what the facts are first? Okay. And if they are lying on this family, that ain't right. And I'm on here saying that they're lying on this family and that ain't right. Okay. So you can think whatever you want to think of me because I don't know you from a can of paint and do not care. She says a punch is, somebody says I thought I was going to get on here and get off, but everybody's in the comments going off. Dominique says a punch is considered deadly force. Literally, no, it's not. That is not considered deadly force in Texas. It is not. It's not. Judge Joe Brown told all of the laws. Everybody's saying the same. That's what I say. Go read the case laws and go talk to a Texas lawyer that does these cases. And even Judge Joe Brown, he was saying he defended some people for free in cases and stuff like this. Just go listen to somebody that's an expert. I'm not listening to you. I love you. Thanks for watching all that, but I'm not listening to that. Somebody else is saying, Deanne says it's an opinion that the vast majority of people share. K.A. took a life, period. He needs to be held accountable and receive appropriate punishment via a fair trial. Agree. I do believe he deserves a fair trial. And if they find out that it really was self-defense, then fine. Let him go. Some people serve time in the self-defense case sometimes too. You might still get a punishment. It just might not be the murder or manslaughter. But I don't know all that. I ain't no damn lawyer. You understand? But let it go to trial, and everybody's out here saying all of this and that, and it's just messing it up. You understand? And then one person says that the reason why you should check out Case and Allison trial. I am going to check that out because the funny thing is that I haven't heard about it. And why is that? Why isn't it like a mainstream thing? What is the issue? Why do you think that this is under the radar? 678. Why do you think this is under the radar? And then Deanne says the whole press conference is bullshit. It's tainting potential jurors. This is bad for. I mean, is it bad? I don't know if it's bad for him because the father showed up there. They're lying on them and saying that they're spending money and stuff. So it's just showing the racism and the prejudice that they're getting already ahead of time. And they're trying to, taint, the public opinion so they get a jury that hates these people before they even get in the door. Judge Joe Brown practiced law in Tennessee and Kentucky. Okay, my mistake if I thought that that it was Texas. But he did cite the Texas laws. So you can watch that video and go see what it says. Because I thought that was an excellent video and he did have the Texas case law to defend what he was saying. And again, I don't give a damn if you can stab somebody in the heart for hitting you. You understand what I'm saying? I wouldn't tell my son to do that. You understand what I'm saying? I wouldn't tell my son to do that. If you're going to tell your kids, okay, yeah, you get in a fist fight and you're losing, kill them, that's good for you. But I wouldn't teach my son to do that. That's just me and my prerogative. You understand? I made sure my son know how to fight. You understand? And hope some punk ass person, because they lose the fight, don't stab him or whatever. I don't want my son going to school with a knife and a pistol and all of that. That's just not what I want for my son. But if that's what you want for your son, good for you. Okay. I agree. Judge Joe Brown, Kentucky, whatever the case may be. But in the video that I saw, he was stating the Texas laws because he probably knows them because he's a judge that practiced. And he's also a judge that does he probably, for whatever reason, knows the Texas law. I don't know why, but he was citing it. So go talk to Judge Joe Brown about that. And like I said, it doesn't even matter where you practice at. The bottom line is, do you kill somebody because of you losing in a fist fight? You understand? I don't know what the particulars of that. I'm just saying in general, is it justified for our kids to stab people in fist fights? That's my question here. Okay? So listen, somebody says the Defiant Lawyers YouTube channel is non-biased. I will definitely look at that, Dominique, for sure. Somebody says he killed him, but that do not equal murder. I don't know what planet you come from, but if you stab somebody in the heart, it is murder. Now they're just trying to say, was it a self-defense murder? Was it premeditated murder? Was it, cold-blooded murder? Come on. Listen.
That's that. There's more to it, but again, I'll link to everything in the box.
This press conference was actually delayed because Austin Metcalf's father actually showed up to the press conference, did not leave when he was asked to leave.
Listen, let me tell you something, Jerome. He says, why would a woman say that? A man understands protection and violence better. Let me tell you, a black man that stabs and shoots somebody, self-defense or not self-defense, the prison is full of them, okay? The prison is full of emotional black men. Don't even get me started, okay? I do not feel that a stabbing because you're losing a fist fight is the way to go. I don't care. Okay. I don't care. I wouldn't tell my son that. I don't care what anybody else tells their child. I wouldn't tell my son that. You understand? But you best believe I took my son to learn how to shoot a machine gun. I will make sure my son knows how to defend himself and this and that. I will encourage my son to get a concealed carry when he's of age and all that. Don't play with me like that. Okay. Don't play with me. You understand? I would not want my son sitting in prison because he was in his feelings because he lost in a fist fight. You understand what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. It doesn't have to do with a woman or a man. You understand? That you sound crazy. And now he's saying he doesn't mean to piss me off. It is pissing me off because our kids are always the main ones locked the fuck up. That's because we have parents that teach them crazy shit.
Initially and was peacefully escorted out. We've got video of that now by Dallas police. During this press conference, Dominique Alexander, who is the president of the organization that hosted this press conference, spoke about Metcalf being at the press conference. He called it disrespectful. As you can see here, Mr. Metcalf had a calm
it really was. I agree with that because what are you doing there? Was it to intimidate them? What was the reason? I mean, it's a public place. I guess you can say he have a right to go anywhere he want to go, but I just feel like, what was that? Was that to intimidate them? What was the reason? I would love to know why he did that.
Conversation with officers. I believe he shakes hands with the officer he's speaking with before he walks away. And he had stood in the back of the room with his sunglasses on like he's wearing now, not really engaging with anyone, but did stand there for some time.
So you can see what the objective was here. I'm going to stand here, make my presence known. It's kind of intimidating because, of course, you're going to have the family rep right here and then the parents right here. So you got the father of the deceased staring at him. You can't do stuff like that. And I would say if it was the other way around, if he held a press conference and then the Anthony showed up, you can't do that. Let the family have their press conference without any kind of other stuff, any kind of drama going on.
Jerome, how do you know the press conference wasn't open to the public? Were you there? It was by invite only? Were you there? I don't know. He got in there. You understand? We all agree that he shouldn't have done that and that it was disrespectful and it was intimidating to the family. So what is your point? That's what I'm saying. Everybody act like they were there for every event and know everything that's going on when we just don't know. We don't know. I'm tired of race hustlers too. I really am. Everything is so politicized all the time. Race. When we have so many other problems as human beings that we could unite over. I feel like we agree on more than we disagree on. And I'm so tired of them throwing us shit to be mad at all the time.
All right. And again, it does point to a character issue. It really does. All right. Now let's watch some of this here.
In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Karmelo and the Metcalf boys, my 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about.
Now that I agree with. And I feel it's, I feel like when somebody is murdered or, you feel like somebody did you wrong, whatever, you want to take it out on whoever of their people are living. You understand what I'm saying? And that's not right either. You understand? These parents were not there. He seemed like he come from a decent family. They say he's a straight A student. So it's a lot that we need to look at. Like, you know what I'm saying? And, I don't feel that these parents and the family should be treated like that. They have other young children. I just wish they would just leave them alone. You understand? And just let it go to court. Right is right and wrong is wrong. You know what I'm saying? And it's wrong what they're doing to the family.
The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger.
Listen, I agree with Marcos is saying about Zimmerman, Stock Martin, even though law enforcement told him not to and ended up with $2 million in donations. Yes, he did. And, he auctioned off the gun that he shot him with and got a lot of money for it too. I know the justice system is not right. That is why I would not tell my son to bring a knife to school. Because I know the problems that it will cause him if he gets caught with that knife. Or like this, an emotional situation came up and he used it. You understand? That's just like a kid bringing a gun to school and getting a fight and shoot. You see what I'm saying? It's like, I wouldn't teach my child that. But if y'all would, you would. You know what I'm saying? I just wouldn't teach my son that. I would teach him to his best of his ability to de-escalate a situation. You understand? And like I told you, my son had that situation where the boy kept trying to hit him. And because my son had all that martial arts and boxing training, the boy couldn't even hit him. So the next thing the boy going to say, well, I'll just shoot you. You understand? Oh, I'm losing in a fight. So the next thing I'm going to do is try to kill you. That's a stupid mentality to have. And I'm so glad my son created a scene before they got into the fight and the teachers saw it. Because who knows if that boy would have came back the next day and shot my son. You understand? So it's like, come on now. To me, this is just logical. But if you would teach your kids in a fight when you're losing to stab somebody, that's on you. That's good for you.
Well, it's everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family.
Now, listen, I feel like that those parents, if the boys that were murdered, the family, they said in multiple times that they don't want it to be about race and that they feel sorry for the family, If they felt that way, I don't think he should have just showed up at that press conference. Why don't you call them and talk to them? Write them a letter, an email, or whatever, and say, listen, we stand with you, whatever. They could have did any number of things, but to just stand up in there with your glasses on, deboing, I don't think that was effective. You understand? And he didn't say anything. You know what I'm saying? He could have stood up and said, God bless you and your family. We don't want no harm to come to you. He could have did that. But he didn't. He just stand there with his glasses like Debo. Like, I didn't understand what he did that. You understand? And this guy's saying that most Crips come from single family mamas. Okay, well, I don't know what that statement has to do with this situation, because all of the kids have lived with both of their parents, I think. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't know nothing about these people or about this case. I have no idea. I really don't. Marco says the subway strangler Daniel Perry snuck up behind that bro's back and ended up with 3 million donations. Okay, but in the subway situation, the guy that was on the subway was acting crazy. He had a history of mental illness. The people all agreed that they were scared of the guy, and all of the people on the subway said they was thankful that that guy saved them. Okay, so I wasn't there for that either, but I just know that what the New York City subways can be like. You understand? And that guy clearly had a history of mental illness. And, you know, I don't know about that. You understand? And I don't really care about the donations. Y'all are missing the point. The donations, I don't care about the donations. You're innocent to proven guilty. They can collect all the money they want for somebody. I'm specifically talking to Black people. You understand? You can collect $400,000 for this, but you can't collect $400,000 for all kids in your neighborhood that have a good school. You can collect $400,000 for this, but you can't collect $400,000, you know, to make sure that we get the people in office that work for us. You can pay $400,000 for this, but you can't pay $400,000 for your child that has some damn private school education. You can pay $400,000, but you can't, you know, I know so many kids, their parents won't even send them to college, but they have the money because they bought Louis Vuitton bags and Jordans. And don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. You know what I'm saying? This, I don't give a damn about the donations. I'm just saying, if we can collect for this, can we collect for something that's going to be generational wealth to our community instead of getting on some race war and spending our money for that? You understand? Can we get our money together and create a Black Wall Street? What? Create a new neighborhood? Can you collect $400,000 to get our people off the street? You know what I'm saying? I look at these schools, they suck. Can we collect $400,000 to create our own private schools for our kids? Please leave me alone with that. That makes me so angry because it just shows me that y'all are still not getting it. You're not getting it. Not getting it.
His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats.
Yes, Marcos, it was untrue.
There's more, but I don't want to play the entire thing. You can kind of understand what's going on. People are going to their home, sitting outside, sending them threatening messages, sending them packages. It could be suspicious things. There's a lot going on. Now, look, as I close, I want to say this. Just like Karmelo Anthony's mother said, you can think whatever you want to about what happened under the tent that day.
Mm-hmm.
But why harass the family? Why not just wait for the court action to carry out? All you're going to do by doing stuff like that is get yourself in trouble. For what reason? Let the court action play out. And I would say, regardless of what color, same thing with the whole George Floyd situation. You're going out there doing things you shouldn't be doing, breaking the law, intimidating people, rioting, carrying on. Don't do any of it.
Dominique says the most profound thing. They don't want us to get along. Division makes the 1% filthy rich. You know why? Because you're going to lock your ass up, prison industrial complex. You know what I'm saying? As long as we're all fighting in the body, we'll never unite over anything to rise above the bullshit. That's what I'm saying. We get together and we fight for the dumbest shit. And the shit, not that this is dumb, but I'm like, if we could collect money for this, why can't we get together and collect money for something else? Why wouldn't you collect money to own a gas station in your neighborhood? Why wouldn't you boycott and collect money to buy the bodega that you're mad that the Arabs own in your neighborhood? It's just dumb shit. It's just dumb shit. My headline is misspelled. Okay, there's nothing I can do about it now. It's up there and it's going to stay like that until I get off this live. Thank you for letting me know, G-Loke. Divide and conquer. Exactly. Pick and choose. Divide and conquer. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that we fight for is just dumb, in my opinion.
That let the law take its course. Do it that way. All this extra stuff, that ain't what we do. And to the conservative pundits putting out information that's unfounded, unverified, straight up rumors, you got to stop.
And he's a conservative. I like his channel because he just give the facts to shit. And a lot of times Black people get mad at him because he be telling the truth about shit you don't want to accept. But the truth is the truth. And I like him because he says what's what.
You got to stop because you're putting innocent people at risk. Because again, you could think whatever you want to about Carmelo Anthony. What's that got to do with the mom? What's that got to do with the father? Why are you going to try to do something to them? Even if you think that Carmelo did something wrong, it's called a court system. Let them handle it. You don't try to interfere. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about all the things that have been said about Carmelo and the family? Talking about, oh, they got a brand new house and they got to escalate, things that have no basis in reality, things that are not backed up by facts. If you're going to say something like that, let it be the truth. Listen, you can agree with me, disagree with me on my opinion about this case. I think it's self-defense. Agree with it, disagree with it. That's just my opinion. When it comes down to the facts, if you're going to report a thing as a fact, you got to have evidence. Rumors, allegations, things like that, that's not enough if you are in my shoes as a journalist or a guy people trust when it comes to news. You can't just report on stuff like that without having evidence. I always cite my sources. In this video, I read you articles and I will link to everything. I write articles myself. I don't just put out salacious nonsense to get clicks and ratings and views and subscribers. I don't do that. I'm always lean on the truth.
This is why I love the independent journalists. This is why I love them, because they just report the facts. They don't care. They're not on one side more than the other. They just report the facts. And I honestly feel that they're kind of somewhat in the middle and they're just reporting the facts. And a lot of people are in the comments saying, you know, Carmelo needs to be in jail. I mean, he's a kid. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what happened that day, and none of us do. You understand? We only know what the media is reporting, and we know the media can be biased or whatever. I don't know. When we will know is when we get the court and we get the evidence, and then you can decide which you believe. You understand what I'm saying? He's a young boy. I don't think he's a terrible kid. He's never been in trouble before. He got straight A's, whatever. I would not like to see him go to prison for the rest of his life or anything like that at all. You understand? And somebody says in here, McCabe, stop trying to make Carmelo into a little angel. He isn't. He's a murderer. Right. He did kill somebody, but we do have to look at their background and, you know, see what happened. You know, maybe they were pushed into doing it. Like I said, I don't know. Anthony Brian Logan seems to think, you know, he's a conservative too, and he seems to think that it was self-defense. And now I've got a question because I trust his research so much because I know he don't form an opinion without certain facts and stuff like that. You understand? But I still would like to wait and see the evidence. You understand? He did kill somebody. You understand? Now, is it going to be a slap on the wrist? Is it going to go on his record? Are they going to give him time? What? I don't know. A murder did occur. Now they have to prove whether it was self-defense or not. You know what I mean? And she says Carmelo is an innocent baby angel. I don't know about that. I don't know. We don't know because we weren't there. You understand? I don't know. You understand? So I wish that we could just, you know, wait for all of the facts. You know what I mean? So Marco says, who did Austin think he was giving orders? Okay, again, where does Smite fail if he wasn't supposed to be in that tent? Honestly, I feel like if he was justified in being in that tent, when the boy told him to get out, instead of saying make me, I would have went to the coach and said, yo, I'm trying to sit in this tent and he's telling me I can't be here. You understand what I'm saying? That would have justified him if he would have went back in the tent and then he did what he did. You understand? Like I said, I just teach my son discernment and not to make hasty decisions in the moment because it's going to last your lifetime. It just reminds me of that movie Prison Song. And I made my son watch this a couple of times. In a scene where, you know, Q-Tip was always getting bullied and then Fat Joe was the bully. And then one day they were in a subway and he knocked all his pictures out of his hands, all his precious artwork and stuff. So Q-Tip's character got mad and pushed him on the tracks. He hit the third rail and he killed the boy. He ended up going to prison forever. You understand? For the anger that he expressed in that moment. You understand? You got to have discernment. And I know he wishes all the time that he didn't push him on the tracks. You understand? So it's, you know, listen, I feel like we're beating a dead horse here, and I feel like everybody's missing the damn point. Listen, I don't know if it was self-defense or not. This video is over. I don't know if it was self-defense or not, or whatever the case may be. I wasn't there. None of the people in these comments were there. None of the media was there. The parents were not there. Nobody was there. And any of the witnesses that are there, the lawyers are telling them not to talk. So we're not going to really get all of the details of this case, you know, until it goes to trial. That's my point. And the other point I was trying to make to my people is if we can collect $400,000 for this, can we keep it going and collect even more money to make better schools for our kids, to make better communities for our kids, to get politicians elected that work in our interest? Things like that would be lovely. You know what I'm saying? Can we take money and invest it into ourselves to build our community and create generational wealth? It doesn't seem so. But that was the point I was making. Okay. Let's look at a couple more of these comments, and I got to go because that was a 20-minute video, and I ended up on here for an hour because everybody is going crazy in the comments. So somebody says, Travis Narik says, so Karmelo should stab someone because they wanted him out of a tent, and then the father of the real victim gets kicked out of a press conference about the tragic situation. Listen, there's so much wrong that happened in this case, you know. It's just like Shati says, it's a very bad situation, however it went down. It's just bad on both sides. You know what I mean? If they were bullying that boy, the two brothers was bullying him, they were wrong for that. Did they deserve to die for it? If they were unarmed, I would say no, unless they really were threatening his life and really, you know. So like I said, we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Stabby says urban community only cares when Caucasians are involved. Now listen, because I said this before. If that would have been a black kid that he was stabbed, it wouldn't even make the media. No one would care. No one will raise money or give a shit. Why don't y'all collect money for all of the mothers that lose their kids and babies caught in the crossfire? I don't ever hear that. Why don't y'all raise money for the Innocence Project that literally goes to court to fight for people that look just like us, that are getting railroaded in the justice system, that we know are innocent, that are in there on crimes they did not commit? What about raising money for that? So there's the truth is the truth, no matter who delivers it. That's just how I roll. You understand? So you can't, you know, we can't be delusional here. You know what I mean? I feel like we are delusional sometimes. You know what I mean? A lot of people are here angry at Karmelo. You know, it's very divided. You know, it's just, child, please. Thank you so much, Jay Will. Thank you very much. Then somebody said they didn't know each other, so bullying narrative is false. I did hear that too, but again, I'm gonna say it for the umpteenth time. We don't know the truth until the facts come out in court. I can't wait for this to go to court and to see what really happened, because at this moment, none of us really know. Look, Make America Great Again says Karmelo is like 98% of young black kids disrespectful and full of ish. Okay. I don't think 98% of black kids are bad. I feel like there are a small percentage that are in gangs, that are horrible, that are violent. But we have to be realistic. We see them doing smash and grab, running up in places and stuff. I mean, come on. We know how we be doing sometimes, but I don't think it's 98%. I think it's a much smaller percent. Most black people, Make America Great Again, are just hardworking people like you know, taking care of their families, you know, trying to get the best for their kids and trying to raise their kids in the righteous way. So that is a misconception that you think. And I feel like you only think that because the media always shows us in that light, but that is not true. Okay. That is not true. Search Innocence Project. Joe Rogan, watch the guy they got released that cut a guy into little pieces and goes right back to prison where he belongs. Okay. The Innocent Project. I don't know that story, but I do know I met a man that worked for them years ago. That was a lawyer, like one of the head lawyers. And I asked him, I said, I bet everybody says they're innocent. And I bet all kinds of people come in. And he said that they get thousands of letters a day. And I said, I'm sure they all say they're innocent. He said, well, a lot of them are. And he said they believe that most of the people are innocent, but they can't prove it, and they can only take the cases that they can prove. So they must have been able to prove that this person was innocent. You understand? Maybe they were innocent of that crime, and maybe I don't know the case. You understand what I'm saying? Shit happens, but for the most of the part, the Innocence Project does great work. So, you know, nothing is 100%. I don't know the story or whatever. So I don't know. So Stavi's saying 89%, but he's just joking. Listen. We could say the same thing that we think most white people in America, 90%, 98% are racist and bigots and, you know, in the Ku Klux Klan. But we know that that is not true. You understand? It's a small percentage of each. You know what I mean? And I just wish that everybody could just unite on what we agree on and what we don't agree on. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to be in each other's space all the time, but just agree to disagree and let everybody live in peace, you know? Dominique says the racist has made it political. They always make, and I'm not even gonna say racists make it political. You know, I just feel like political parties, they know that, you know, as long as everybody's divided, they're not, it takes the light off of them. And while we're fighting among each other, they're doing the most, stealing tax dollars, creating wars, sending our money to pay for this, that, and the third. And we're not paying attention because we're arguing over this shit. You know, only Democrats are racist. Listen, I tend to think that, you understand what I'm saying? Because I just did a video the other day where Charleston White went and talked to a white supremacist. And the white supremacist literally said that he hates Donald Trump, which that even shocked me. And I was like, most white supremacists don't align with Trump. They don't align with Democrats. That guy said he would vote for Kamala Harris before he would vote for Donald Trump. And I was like, well, why? And he said, because they think white people that go against their race are worse than any black person, any Jew, any Mexican or whatever. They think that that is the worst crime you could commit. You understand? They don't like Trump because he aligns with Jews. Okay. So this is my point, that everybody is just misinformed about the other, and everybody needs to focus more on what we agree with and than what we don't. You understand? And I just would just make a more peaceful, more balanced existence. Democrats fight a civil war for the right to enslave Africans. They surely did. And they did Jim Crow. They did the Black Codes. They were the ones that did the lynchings. The KKK was a Democratic organization. When voting rights were given, women, Black people, Latinos, Asian, everybody got the right to vote as Republicans, because Democrats were like the KKK, dude, that they didn't want nobody except white Christian nationalists, okay? And not all white Christian nationalists are like that. Some people just love this country, which is a nationalist. I consider myself a nationalist. I love this country. You understand? If I get locked up from abroad, I love Africa, but they ain't coming to get me. I nobody in Africa. If I get locked up abroad and I call Africa, they're not coming for me. It would be this embassy. So it's like, come on. We're fighting over dumb shit, and we're beating a dead horse here, and it's just bullshit. And he said, somebody said, these delicious white tears in a black space again. Listen, my space is open up to everybody because I'm a person that loves to have the discussion. I like to hear everybody's point of view. You know, I'm not just talking to Black people. I'm talking to everybody. When I'm talking about my people, I will specifically say Black people, blah, blah, blah. Or my people, I wish that. Other than that, I'm talking to everybody, okay? Makiba says, and some Republicans voted right along with it. No, they did not, Makiba. The Republican Party at that period was created to abolish slavery. Even Google has to admit that, because that is fact. That was the only reason why the Republican Party was created, was to abolish slavery. The only reason why the Republican Party started adopting some of those racist ways is because they got infiltrated by Democrats. Now, that's the fact. That's the fact, okay? So learn the history and, you know, listen. Silent Ray says, Sheila B, you're a great person, but I'm Shelly B, but I appreciate the compliment. YJ says, I like how some of you are blaming everyone and everyone but the murderer in this chat. You know, like I said, he do have to take responsibility for killing somebody, whether it was self-defense or not. I mean, that's a horrible thing when you kill somebody, and whether you meant to do it, whether it was justified or not, that's something that's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. You know, somebody was murdered, period. You know, Talk to people that have killed people and stuff. I met this lady. This is the last story I'm telling. I'm getting off here. I had did a wet program and I had met this lady, white woman. She had went to prison for 20. She's an old lady. She went to prison for 25 years for killing her husband. You understand? And she said her husband used to beat her, abuse her, terrible to her. And she said one day she snapped and stabbed him like 35 times. And she said, but it was all my fault. I said, how could you say that? How could it be your fault? Oh my God, he used to beat you, abuse. You know what she said? I should have left him the first time he hit me. And that resonated with me. You understand what I'm saying? Why take abuse from somebody till you snap to kill them when you could just leave them alone? You understand what I'm saying? You could just go about your business. You understand? So that was something that was very life-changing for me and made me really think. You know what I'm saying? Someone says in here, if someone shoved you, then you don't have the right to stab them to death. It's not complicated, guys. Bunch of woke idiots. So, listen. Everybody's divided and they're going to remain divided. You understand? But like I say, I'm just going to hold on to that lady that served 25 years of her life in prison because she snapped in a moment. You understand? And she said that it was all her fault because she should have left. You understand? I'm a person, if you don't want to be with me, I don't want to be with you. If I got in that tent and they were acting like they didn't want me to be here, why would I want to put my beautiful energy around a bunch of people that don't want it? Why would I want to, force myself in with people that don't want me? You understand? That's what I would tell my son. Oh, they acting like that. Go about your day. Bye. You understand? I don't think that was worth fighting for. That is my opinion. My opinion. Okay. All right, you guys. I love these comments and I could do this with y'all all day. I have to go right now. I really appreciate all y'all sitting for this. I got to go. My child's home from school and we got stuff to do. So I got to go. But I just had to come on here and talk about this because it really vexed my spirit a lot. And it always vexes my spirit that we are so divided as human beings because we all are human beings and the 1% controls everything. It's like a circus. They're like the circus masters and they watch us be clowns over every little issue they throw at us. And I just wish that, people will wake up and see that we have more in common than we don't. And if we could just focus on the things that we agree on instead of focusing on the things we don't, you understand? I just feel that the world will be a better place and humanity will be that one step closer to peace. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I love you. For everybody that doesn't know this means I love you in sign language. And I do. If you sat through this with me, I appreciate all of y'all. I really do. I try to come on here every day if I can. But sometimes I be busy and have other things to do and I can't come on. But like when I see something important, I'm going to bring it to you. Okay. And I really appreciate you all. And you guys have a lovely day. I probably will be back on later. Because I didn't even expect to come on here today. I wanted to come on with something else to talk about, but I came on here today with this and I ended up having a whole hour live about it, but I'll probably try to come back later or tomorrow. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. I am Shelly B. Like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. I'm trying to get this algorithm to go, okay? Please subscribe, share, like, go to my YouTube channel and share the videos and look at some of the other videos I have on there. I have hundreds of videos on there about different things, and a lot of the videos have good resources for you and stuff like that, and things to help elevate your frequency. That's the whole point of the channel, is to elevate our frequency and to get rid of some of the misconceptions that we have about life and each other and stuff like that. Okay, I am Shelly B. I'm leaving. I gotta go. Thank you. Smash the like button, y'all. That's right. I appreciate all of you. I love you. Thank you for sitting with me. I'll see you on the next one. I am Shelly B. Have a great day, y'all. Bye.